Oh, we got some spy shit in this episode. Some quality spying stuff. Hello, I'm Phil, welcome to my channel where I talk about all the geeky pop culture that I love and enjoy, including things like Doctor Who and the MCU, which is what we're talking about today. And I am posing the question to you right now, is it acceptable that I am doing an MCU review wearing a Batman t-shirt? Is that an acceptable thing? Let me know in the comments below. Should I be shamed off of YouTube for this? What can I say? I like DC and Marvel, and all of my Marvel t-shirts are in the wash. We're here to review episode 3 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, called Power Broker. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be spoilers, so if you are wanting to avoid spoilers, go away. Now, straight off in this episode, we get to deal very slightly with some post-blip stuff about what the world is like for people post-blip. And we get an interesting advert, a public service announcement type advert about the, what were they called? The GRC, the Global Repatriation Council, which in this advert is painted in a very fluffy, lovely way with lots of angelic music. And then it cuts to that team, the GRC, with the new Captain America, busting into someone's place in Germany that had previously been hiding out the Flag Smashers from the previous episode. And the contrast, the juxtaposition between that advert and what they are like on the ground is quite stark. I can't help but feel there's a very small comment there about sort of the public perception or the PR perception of various government organisations and the much more brutal reality of them. Along with the fact that they are in Germany at this point and they're sending in Captain America to this mission. There's something there about American overreach as well, I think, as well as like this whole public perception or PR perception of organisations such as this GRP. Maybe there's an allegory there with ICE in the US and the much more realistic on the grounds brutal approach of them. But it doesn't really go anywhere past this one scene. It's kind of flirts with this idea of tackling this, and but then it doesn't do anything else with it. Whether they will later on in the series, it'll be interesting to see. And after last week's episode of them trying to humanize the new Captain America, John Walker, this episode does undoes a little bit of that, because we don't see him much in this episode, and he's not particularly endearing when we do see him in this episode. Like, one of the German guys spits in his face, and he loses it, grabs the guy, throws him up against the wall, and says to him, "Do you know who I am?" There's that arrogance there. There's the kind of... And we've seen last episode that he does have kind of his heart in the right place, but it seems to be going to his head a little bit, his new role as Captain America. And I think maybe this ties into the whole nuanced thing. I would like them to continue to show us both sides of his character, because clearly he is someone that does want to do the right thing, does think they're doing the right thing, wants to help, but also is slightly arrogant, is slightly smug about it. And I think there's a path that they are probably going to take him down, which sends him towards an increasingly more unsympathetic approach to him. Much more sympathy, though, was maybe generated for the Flag Smashers in this scene. We get a touching scene of the leader of the Flag Smashers, Carly, dealing with someone dying. I think possibly her mother. Again, humanizing her. You know, they're clearly building up a world in this series where nothing is black and white. The good guys are... There's good guys and there's bad guys, but the bad guys aren't all bad. Maybe they have good intentions. They may not be doing it for going about it the right way, but they've got the kind of like the heart there. And the good guys, Captain America, is, there's questions about the way he goes about things too. So I do like the way that it's kind of balancing this and showing us both sides of this is not a black and white evil versus good situation here. Then we get Zemo, who of course from the Captain America movies, Captain America Civil War movies, we knew we were coming up to him. We were teased it last week, and this week we get... I really like the way they introduced him, because they went into the prison. Bucky says, wait here, Sam. I'm going to go deal with him. And then we cut to a scene later on, which is Bucky telling Sam that he wants to break Zemo out. And then he says, let me run you through a hypothetical. Because he's already done it. And it's not hypothetical at all, because he's already done it. But the way he describes it, I just like the way that scene was... That was nicely done. So they team up, and I'm left wondering, how long is this team up going to last for? There were various points in this episode where I thought, oh, okay, he's now going to turn on them. Or he's going to abandon them and go off and do his own thing, but it didn't happen. A couple of times that happened. So are they teamed up for a while now? What's going to go on going forward from this point? I still think there's a chance that Zemo was going to be behind it all. But then again, he wouldn't be on board with super soldiers, because he is really against anything like that. In fact, we saw in Civil War that he killed the super soldiers, the other Winter Soldier program people, because he really didn't want them existing. One thing I like about the team up is when they find out that actually Zemo is really rich, and he goes, yeah, I'm a baron. And he's got a private jet, he's got a whole massive garage full of vintage cars, which is where he finds his purple mask, which he does put on a bit later. I'm liking Zemo in this. Not in terms of, like, I think he's going to be a good guy. He's clearly still a very questionable guy, but I'm liking his role in this. It seems to... It again adds a little bit of nuance. It's good. I enjoyed him in this episode. And as I said at the beginning, we get some actual spy stuff. They have to go undercover as... Well, Bucky just as the Winter Soldier. Zemo is as Zemo. He's not really undercover as such. But Sam has to go undercover as this other guy that looks strikingly like him, but wears very flamboyant clothing. Sam thinks he looks like a pimp. And it leads to some good scenes, because they have to stay in character as their cover, and that leads to Bucky having to deal with the fact that he's going to have to hurt people, one of his 3 rules, which he said he wasn't going to do anymore, and he has to do it. He has to hurt people, and potentially he might have had to kill some people in that bar to maintain character, if it hadn't got to the point where it would have stopped. So that was interesting, seeing him dealing with that. Sam clearly clocks that and goes, are you alright? So yeah, that was all a very fun scene. It was good to get to see some real sort of proper spy stuff in this sort of very espionage thriller type series. Also really liked seeing Sharon Carter again, because she in the movies she was okay. There was nothing necessarily bad about her, but she was a fairly bland, blank slate. She was there to fulfill, the love interest role, and she didn't really do that much. She did steal the shield back for Captain America and Falcon's stuff back from him, and, well, that got her in a lot of trouble, and now she's on the run, hence why she's also hiding out in this Eastern European country, because she's still wanted. She didn't get the pardon that all the Avengers got. She still has to, go under hiding, and it seems a bit harsh that she didn't get the pardon as well. You'd think somebody would have thought to arrange that for her, but apparently not. But she does seem like a really more interesting character here. She has a bit of sass to her for a start. She is sarcastic. She's a little bit bitter about the fact that she was just sort of left out to dry after stealing Captain America's shield for him and stuff. And yeah, she knows it was the right thing to do. She's glad she helped, but she's just a little bit bitter about it now. And fair play to her, I would be too. And she's got this slightly more harder edge to her, slightly more sarcastic, and she's kind of got this new life as this underworld art dealer selling stolen art. Fair play to her. She also kicks ass in the fight scenes that she's in. She brilliantly choreographed, great scenes. She doesn't join them on the rest of the journey, but I have a feeling based on the line she gives to her colleague at the end that there's I can't remember what the exact line is, but something like there's a lot we need to talk about, or there's not, there's clearly something else. I think she's probably going to pop up again. It seemed to imply that. I hope we do get to see her again. And finally, at the end, we get the warrior women, one of the warrior women from Wakanda turn up who wants Zemo. So are they going to have to fight for him? Are they Bucky and Falcon going to have to defend Zemo here? Who knows? It's going to be interesting. I'm going to looking forward to seeing where this goes. To be honest, this was an enjoyable episode. It's probably the most fun I've had in this episode, but there's not much in the terms of deep character stuff in this episode. It's the one thing I'd say this misses. The one bit of sort of real moment where we sort of thought we were going into their psyche a little bit was when Bucky had to, pretend he was the Winter Soldier, and that was obviously quite traumatic for him. There was a brief flirtation with dealing with that, but there wasn't much beyond that in terms of character stuff. This was a much more action, sort of plot-heavy episode, which is good. I don't begrudge it that, but this is clearly so far, the first two episodes have been very character-driven, and I do hope we still get that. This, maybe at the midpoint, we're halfway through the series now, was the right time to have a big plot-focused episode. Let's hope we get some character stuff next week. And yeah, that's kind of all I've got to say about it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know as well how shameful I am for wearing a Batman t-shirt while doing a MCU review. And I'll see you next week for more reviews. See you then.